I kept giving my spare time back to my job every single evening for years. I would get home, I would finish dinner, and I would walk straight to my desk. Not because anyone made me, but because I had built an identity around being the person who always got it done, the one who outputs more than anyone else in the room. And that identity fed something in me. Then 55 hit, and it hit hard. I looked at where my free time had been going for years, and I realized it had been building something else's future. Not mine, not my husband's, not ours. And that was the moment that everything shifted for me. So now your reason for not having time is probably completely different than mine. Maybe it's the grandkids. Maybe it's aging parents who need you right now. Maybe it's a job that bleeds into every weekend and every evening. Maybe it's the volunteer commitments that you said yes to because you genuinely care. Or maybe it's just the accumulated weight of a full life where there legitimately doesn't seem to be a spare hour anywhere. I hear that. I hear you. And I'm not here to dismiss any of that. But here's what I am here to say. I said here a lot. I don't have time is the number one reason women over 50 give for not starting. And it's also the one that holds up the least when you actually look at it. That's what this video is about. It's not about a fantasy schedule with a perfect morning routine. The real version inside of a real full chaotic life. That's what this is. What's the one thing you keep saying you'll get to when things slow down? My version of I don't have time looked like walking to my desk every evening to do more work for the theater. Yours looks different. But here's what's the same. There's a pattern underneath all of it that I want you to see. Many of us are pouring our time into everyone else's priorities and calling ourselves busy. And I'm not saying that you're wrong for doing what you're doing. I am saying that I don't have time is often less about the clock and more about what we've chosen to fill it with. And for some of us, myself included, there's something else going on underneath that. The overcommitment isn't accidental. It's actually a way of staying busy with things that feel productive and necessary so we never have to sit down and do the hard, uncertain work of building something for ourselves. Busy is safe. Building, however, is exposed. And many of us choose busy every single time without even realizing that we're choosing it. So pause for just a second. I don't want you watching this and then trying to remember what to do with it later. Every video that I publish comes with the work already done for you, broken down, ready to use, delivered straight to your inbox. The link is in the description below, or you can use the QR code that's here on your screen. Go grab it and let's keep going. So let's actually look at the time, not the version that's in your head, the real version on paper, because having it written down, game changer. There are 168 hours in a week. Same for everyone. I don't know about you, but I wish I could get more, but I can't. Sleep takes about 56 hours gone. Work, let's say that's 50 hours. That leaves 62 hours. Subtract meals, subtract errands, groceries, appointments, basic household stuff, basic household care. Call it 30 hours for all of that. What this actually looks like is maybe 10 to 12 hours available every single week. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's not what my life looks like, Christina. So let's be even more conservative. Let's say you're a full-time caregiver for an aging parent on top of everything else. Let's say the grandkids are there 3 days a week. Let's say your job is genuinely demanding. You might be down to 6 hours a week left. Let's call it 5 hours a week. 5 hours a week over 10 years is more than 2,600 hours. That is not nothing. That is actually a business. Now, here's the part that changed how I saw all of this. I already knew that time was precious, and you probably do too. We've all heard it 1,000 times. We understand it conceptually. But there's always been that quiet thing running in the background, this whisper that says, but I've still got more time. And that whisper functions as an escape hatch. It kind of lets you off the hook one more day, one more week, one more month, one more year. That 168-hour reality check, it doesn't add new information. We already know that. but it closes the escape hatch. When a 28-year-old says, I don't have time, it's an inconvenience. When we say it at 55, every year we say it is one fewer year we have to build something. And that's why I stopped saying it. So you have more time than you think, but you're still going to push back on me. And honestly, you should, because I haven't yet talked about how to actually find that time. Here's something worth sitting with. If someone outside of you, someone who genuinely cared about your future, audited your week carefully, they would find time you didn't realize you were giving away. And it's not because you're lazy, but because time disappears in ways that we don't track and often don't notice. So here's what I want you to actually consider, practically, specifically. Stop grocery shopping in person. Use pickup services. That's an hour or more back in your week every week. Take social media apps off your phone. Not forever. Try it for a month. Get them off the device that lives in your hand. You will be surprised at what comes back. Turn the TV off completely for 30 days. And I mean completely. Not just your shows, all of it. You're going to find 7 to 10 hours a week that you didn't think you had. You say you use the TV as background noise, like background focus noise. Use something like Brain FM instead. You will notice a massive difference. Batch cook your meals. Cook once, eat multiple times. It sounds small, but it isn't. Outsource what you can practically afford to outsource. Maybe someone to mow the lawn. Maybe it's a housekeeper every couple of weeks. Maybe outsource just your laundry to a laundry service. The time it buys you is worth more than the cost. And look hard at your commitments. And I mean hard. Dig in. Women in our demographic have a tendency to overcommit. Not because we don't know better, but because saying yes to everyone else is actually easier than saying yes to ourselves. It feels selfish to say yes to ourselves. Here's the question I had to ask myself, and I want you to sit with it. What am I committed to that is actually keeping me from building my own future? And I'm going to say that again. What am I committed to that is actually keeping me from building my own future? That's not a guilt question. That is a clarity question. And the answer is different for every single one of us. You don't have to blow up your life, and you don't have to abandon anyone. You just have to start making your future, your income, your retirement, a real line item on your calendar. Not someday, today. Okay, so now you've found some time, or at least you're starting to see where it could possibly come from. Now, here's the real problem that nobody really talks about, because this is the part that is quietly killing my progress. Here's what used to happen to me. I'd finally carve out an hour. I'd sit down. And immediately, I think, okay, where was I? Wait, what was I working on? Wait, why was I doing that? Should I even be doing that? Maybe I should be doing this instead. Wait, didn't I start something else last week? It's because I had so many gaps between when I had my time. And just like that, poof, the hour was gone. Nothing was accomplished, spent entirely on mental plate spinning, on trying to reconstruct my own momentum. That's not a time problem. That's a clarity problem, and it is fixable. The fix almost sounds too simple. Here's what I actually do now. Hope it helps you. I have a single Post-it on my desk. There is one task on it, the exact next thing that I need to do. Behind it, I have the next 6 or 7 tasks laid out in sequence. When I sit down, I look at the first Post-it and I do that thing. That's it. No ramp up time, no what should I be working on time, no mental plate spinning or physical plate spinning. I'm not that talented. Just the next thing. Not the vague work on the business, not do some marketing, the exact next thing, like draft the intro for this video, write this week's email, finish the outline, specific outline. So when you get 30 minutes, you're actually working. When you get 2 hours, you're building. But here's what makes this work on a deeper level. It's not just about having a task. It's about knowing where you're going with all of these tasks. When you know the path, when you have real clarity on what you're building and what comes next in the sequence, everything changes. The spinning stops. You run every decision through one lens. Is this the next right step on that path? When the answer is yes, you do it. When the answer is no, you don't get distracted by it. Direction comes from knowing the path. Clarity comes from knowing what's next on it. Results come from running everything through that lens. I've been doing this for several months now, and I'm moving faster productively than I have in years. Not because I have more time. In fact, I have even less right now, and I'm heading into my peak season chaos. But because I stopped wasting the time that I do have. And one more thing, because I know some of you are still holding on to but my life is different thought. I want to show you what this actually looks like in practice, not in an idealized version, my actual year. So 9 months of the year, I'm working 50 plus hours a week at my day job. I don't get paid for it. It's a volunteer position. 3 months of the year, I'm at 70 to 80 hours a week for that same position. There is no slow season for me. There's regular chaos and peak chaos. So during regular chaos, I can get about 5 to 8 hours a week in on my business if I'm intentional. And every once in a while, I can eke out 10 hours in a week. And that's when I do the heavier lifting. So things like batching the videos or setting up systems or working on what's next in the sequence. But during peak chaos, my available hours drop to 2 or 3 a week, if that. It's usually less, and that's okay because I know exactly what to do with those hours when I get them. I'm not spending a single minute asking, what should I be working on? Because I already know. I always stay 6 or 7 tasks ahead on the path that I want to go. So the average holds, the average builds. 5 hours a week, it builds. Consistency doesn't mean identical weeks. It means you keep showing up, even when showing up is just 45 minutes on a Wednesday night. Consistency over time beats creativity every single time. Build it inside the chaos or don't build it at all. That's the choice I had to make. Not because I had extra time, not because things got easier, but because the version of me that I'm building toward is counting on the version of me sitting here right now. You're not out of time. You're just finally ready to stop giving it away. I encourage you to dare yourself to flourish in this season of life.